It's an emotional time for beloved host Wendy Williams. She revealed on her talk show this week that she has been living in a sober house, that a bunch of strange men she lives with there have become her new family because she's continuing to battle her issues with addiction, that she's been using a 24-hour-a-day sober coach, that she goes to work, she works out, and then she heads to those AA meetings and lives in that sober home where it's lights out every night at 10. So with this new family, as she tries to be open and honest about her struggles and work through them, what's going on with her family? Lots of rumors running wild about Wendy's relationship with her husband. And we have some new source reporting on that. I'm joined now by Brendan Jeffrion of our ET News Desk. Hi, Brendan.
Hi, Lauren.
So we're seeing tons of headlines and in some cases of certain media outlets, photos, these reports of Wendy Williams' longtime husband, Kevin, they've been married for decades, having a mistress. What do we know about the reality of that situation?
We're actually learning a lot from two different sources, Lauren, and pardon me while I look down, but I do want to read the quotes to you directly just to make sure we are accurately reporting it. We have a source close to Wendy telling us that her current struggles are because she's melting down over her husband allegedly having a mistress. Now, our source claims that Wendy's husband, Kevin's alleged mistress, is allegedly pregnant and that the baby is due any day now. Quote, Wendy is completely on edge, our source says, noting that they are scared the stress could take a dangerous toll on the talk show host. So, Lauren, as you mentioned, this is just days after Wendy publicly revealed on her talk show that she's living in a sober living facility in Queens, New York, and now this. I want to give you a little bit more intel here. Our source went on to claim that it was actually Wendy's husband, Kevin, who put her in the sober living facility in New York. Quote, he wanted Wendy out of the way when the baby arrived. Now, again, all of this is alleged from our source that, you know, that Kevin allegedly has this mistress and that she's allegedly pregnant and that the baby is allegedly due any day now. And that one of the reasons why he put her in this facility was to have her away from when the baby is coming in.
Wow. Again, we've been hearing these reports, Brendan, so it's just hard to imagine everything that no matter what that Wendy Williams is going through. I have our reporting pulled up here too, and I know, as you mentioned, our source saying she's on edge and just under so much stress from all of this. Now, we had learned and you guys saw just a minute ago a clip of Wendy revealing that she's been living in this sober living house on her talk show. She cried revealing it, and we had learned that part of the reason that she did reveal this, at least in part, was that she knew a report was going to come out revealing that she was living in that house. So she wanted the story to be hers to tell. She took to the talk show platform that people know and love her for to do this. You can see the faces of the audience. They're shocked as they're kind of are understanding with each word what she's saying to them, and they're watching her cry there. So no matter what, we know Wendy is clearly under an incredible amount of stress and that this is all taking a toll on her. She talked about what it's like to lay in bed at night when the lights go out at 10 and just kind of stare up at the ceiling at that sober living house, and to live, again, working out and just commuting there. Her life is pretty confined to all that. Now, there have been photos of Kevin with her, taking her to and from these different places, but she also mentioned that sober living coach. What do we know about her and Kevin's relationship? Because they've been together for decades, and he is involved in her work life as well, right?
Yeah, and that's very true. And what's really interesting here, Lauren, is we're getting a little bit more intel now. This is obviously a fluid situation, but we are told that Wendy allegedly finally believed, the rumors that you and I have talked about that, Kevin was allegedly having this affair with this mistress, and we're actually told that our source claims that Wendy hired a private investigator last year, and that PI presented her with what they're telling us was a pile of evidence. Wendy then allegedly confronted Kevin, her husband, and they got into some kind of a fight. Our source alleges that it was during that fight that Wendy actually fractured her shoulder. So now it's, now our source is basically alleging here a bit of violence, if you will, the fight and all that, and domestic.
Right, and we don't know, we don't have from our source how that injury exactly happened, but like you said, hearing that, and also, that she had hired this private investigator, that she'd been presented with all this evidence of this alleged affair. And look, together for decades. I think they got married in the late 90s. They have a child together, their son, Kevin. And you know what? We actually have a bite from an interview with Wendy we did back in 2016, and she talks about her husband's role in her career. Let's take a listen.
You know, I would say 20% of the time it's over at 11, and literally I can go home. But that's because my husband and I work together here. As a matter of fact, his office is right over there on the same floor. And so, you know, he's my manager. He's one of the executive producers. He acts in my stead. I'm always on the phone with staff if they need to talk to me. But I really, I have to get back to Jersey. There are things that I have to do. I lead a regular life of grocery shopping. We have a child, and and I have to moisturize and sit down and get ready for the next day.
So obviously, from Wendy herself there, Kevin incredibly involved, her manager, involved in the day-to-day of her work life as well as their personal life.
Right, and this is our source reiterates exactly what Wendy said there, that he is very involved. This is actually a second source that we spoke to a short time ago that says Wendy is completely controlled by her husband. That source also speculates that it's a major factor in why she doesn't leave him, quote, telling us Kevin Hunter, excuse me, sorry, I'm going to back up here.
Yeah, I know. I want to... It's okay. I want to back up, actually, Brendan, and go to, there is part of this reporting, where apparently our source was telling us that they might have, been on the brink of divorce at different points, but that they had gone to counseling. And look, any marriage over this long of a period of time is going to have its ups and downs. But interesting to note that they might have been close to splitting up at different points, had perhaps tried counseling, or at least someone had suggested counseling there. But when you get into these situations where there's a massive overlap of personal and professional, look, on the one hand, sometimes it's incredibly successful, your partners and everything, and sometimes things can take a nasty turn and become really problematic because there's so much gray area, and people's roles get really confused, and different motivations come into play. So I guess we'll have to see what happens here for Wendy Williams. But to sum up, and thank you so much, Brendan, what we do know, the very latest, is that Wendy's under an incredible amount of stress. A source telling us that she is on the edge, melting down, which is in line with that emotional reveal that we saw from her this week, that she is living in a sober living house. And our sources saying that it seems Wendy Williams had hired a PI, a private investigator, some time ago, been presented with evidence that her longtime husband, Kevin, was having an alleged affair. And now a source telling us that Kevin allegedly might be expecting a baby with this mistress.
And Lauren, it's very important to point out just here from our end that we have reached out to Wendy's team and have not heard back. We reached out to Kevin Hunter this morning for comment. We have not heard back. We also reached out to the alleged baby mama, Kevin Hunter's alleged baby mama, who we are choosing not to name at this point, and we have not heard from her either. So quiet on all the fronts, but this is what our sources are telling us this morning, and it's rather shocking.
All right, Brendan Jeffrey, on of our ET News Desk. Brendan, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, Lauren.